Greetings and welcome to my channel, guys. Hope everyone's doing fine and you are ready for more scary stories. Before we start, please hit subscribe button and like the video. Thank you and enjoy. A night to remember. Note, this is in 2011 and I am 18 now. This story may sound fake, but trust me, this is real. It was a cool summer night. I was in 8th grade at the time. I am adult now. I was hanging out at one of my friend's house. We were going to pull an all-nighter, so we drank energy drinks. It was around 3 AM when one of my friends, there were 3 of us, suggested we should sneak out into the woods. We will call him Alex. I thought he was crazy, but with all this energy, I agreed. So did the other. I call him Anakin. We went through the front door and sneak out in the woods. We are in Catalina, where there is open space everywhere and lots of wild cow around. We're 3 miles from Alex's house. It's around 4 AM and we're in the woods and we're just talking, cracking jokes and stuff and drinking soda. Not too far from where we are, it's an abandoned house. Alex was in the middle of the scary story and I was scared shitless. But in the middle of the story we heard door opening from the abandoned house and Anakin said to be quiet. We heard the unknown person's shoe steps on the dead leaves. From seemed like a lifetime it was quiet. No noise, no nothing. But out of the sudden we heard a cow get slaughtered from what it sounded like. I almost shit myself. Then the unknown person turns on a flashlight and points it in our direction and starts sprinting towards us. We all got up and start sprinting as hell out of there, without looking back. But for some reason I looked back and the person was maybe 100 inches from us, and that made me sprint faster. In a horror movie, you know the people running away tripped, but the unknown person had tripped. But that did not make us stop, it made us go faster. Let's call the unknown person the killer. The killer gotten up and went back to sprinting. But in front of us was a small rocky hill, and Anakin, being the fastest, jumps on the hill, climbs up in a second. Alex jumps up the hill and climbs it, but for some reason I can't climb it. The killer is closing in, and at this point I start to think how good my life was. But Alex, being a hero, jumps down and helps me climb it. The killer climbs it and it's still sprinting. We see the gate we went through to get to the woods. We go through it because there is an opening. We get past it and the killer stopped at the gate. We look back and stop. It's a male, it's just looking at us. And we starting being cocky and start yelling at him and making fun of him. He puts the light to his face and makes this creepy smile, then the lights turns off. He starts to go through the gate and we took off, no looking back. We ran 3 miles to get back to Alex's house. We sneaked through the Alex's window. We are panting from running. The rest of the night we talked about what happened while watching a movie. We also look out windows to make sure he didn't follow us. I never went back to Alex's house after that. Sometimes I dream about that night and sometimes my friend never jumped down to help me. So the killer gets me.
An unexplained visit. Throughout my 33 years on this earth, I have experienced many things that I cannot logically explain. First off, once when I was 10 years old, I had gotten a painful infection in the cuticle of my middle finger of my right hand. I've always been a hypochondriac, and every time I look at the painful swelling with my fingernail pulling away from the cuticle, I would be sent to a panic because I was convinced that the doctor was going to have to cut my finger open. My bedroom was on the 2nd floor, but I was so petrified over the situation with my finger that I began sleeping in the den that was adjacent to my parents' bedroom on the 1st floor, which made me feel more at ease. On the eve of going to the doctor's, I was awoke by the feeling of someone sitting on my legs. The den was pitch black, but I could clearly see the outline of the person sitting on the couch I was sleeping on, and it was sitting on my legs. This person was massive and tall, seeming to be over 6 feet. The person seems to be facing away from me when I first woke up, as if it was just staring at the wall or maybe waiting for me to wake up. When my eyes first opened and I couldn't move my legs and I saw the humanoid outline in the dark, my blood ran cold. It scared the shit out of me that someone had gotten into my house undetected. Our house had thin walls, and I could hear my mother and father snoring just across the hall in the bedroom. On top of that, our dog Odie was extremely protective. Odie would bark and freak out on any stranger, yet he was sound sleeping in the hallway. On the top of that, we routinely locked our doors before going to bed. How did this person get past the locked doors, past our dog without waking him up, and past my parents' room without rousing them? After about 30 seconds, the outline of the person turned towards me and leaned forward, a bit towering over me. I felt paralyzed in fear, and then it spoke. It said, "Everything is going to be okay. Go back to sleep." When I heard its voice, it had a calm effect and sense of trust washed over me. I believed everything was going to be okay, and I fell back to sleep. I got up the next morning feeling a bit uneasy but unusually well rested. My mother brought me to the doctor and he told me to just let the fingernail grow out and another will grow back. My worst fear was put to rest. To this day, this experience sticks with me. I wonder if the thing or a person came to ease my pain, because even though the infection was no big deal for an adult, to a scared child it became a nightmare fuel. I told my mother and father all of this years later. It gave my mother chills. My father, on the other hand, didn't know what to say and hasn't mentioned it since.
City horror. I should mention that I previously lived in a tiny town, but went to high school in considerably larger city. I never had a reason never to go out in the city on my own. So when my two friends wanted to hang around town, I was nervous, to say at least. However, I thought, what the hell, I'll be with them. We had a blast for a couple of hours after school, with some small scary incident along the way, including walking through a store full of expensive statues and gemstones, with a massive backpack mounting from my back. And the original restaurant we wanted to go to was closed, forcing us to Subway. However, as it got dark, we all knew we had to go home, so we all enjoyed one last store and went out our separate ways. I waited outside the store alone in the dark, not terribly afraid, yet. I had told my mother where to find me, but she's hopeless with direction, so I had expected to be hanging around for a while. I noticed a news camera stationed outside the store, which made me feel even safer. But about 10 minutes into the wait, I was approached by two men. My memory is fuzzy due to how freaked I was, but this is what I remember. "Hey, do you know where the name of a town I can't remember is?" I shook my head. I was already nervous because I'm a paranoid person on the best day. And this was not turning out to be the best day. "Oh, come on," one man said. "Listen, we'll give you a bag of jewelry if you help us." Now I was really freaking out. I glanced around and noticed the news camera and stepped a little closer to the line of the sight of the lens. "Listen," I stammered, trying really hard not to stammer or show how freaked I was. "I think it's that way, and I don't need anything," I said, pointing in random ass direction. They glanced in the direction of my finger. They glanced back. "Can you show us? Again, we have a bag of jewelry." It felt as if my heart leaped into my throat. "No thank you, and my mom is coming to get me." I declined as calmly as I could. They stared at me for a few seconds, then nodded, thanking me and heading off in the direction I pointed at. I kept well in the line of sight of the news camera until my mother picked me up. I didn't fully relax for a full week. I have absolutely no idea why they were so eager to give me that bag of jewelry. My first thought was that they stole it and wanted to throw the police off their trail by handing some of it for me. The second was that they were trying to lure me away with the jewelry. Either way, I wouldn't have ended well for me, if that was their goal. No one believed me, but I didn't expect them to really. I had never felt comfortable in the city alone in the dark ever since, even though it's been 2 years and I now live in a decently sized city for college.
2 years ago, I was 14 years old. 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 I was
Thank you guys for stopping by, hope you had fun. But before you leave, subscribe and hit the like button. If you have any stories or ideas you would like to submit, my email is in the description box. Stay safe and I'll see you soon.